Okay, everybody. Check. Yeah, I think the guitar is just a little loud tonight. Might need to make a couple little fine-tune adjustments. Let me cut that back just a little bit. That, according to my meter, is actually right. You know what's funny? Doing the live stream and getting stuff set up, it's kind of taught me quite a bit. I'm used to like old school VU meters, and the digital meters. I'm not going to say they're not accurate. They respond differently. So I've really struggled with learning what is actually clipping and what isn't actually clipping. So hopefully you guys can learn along with me. I have noticed that with the digital meters, when it hits red, that's it. Like in OBS and stuff like that, it actually likes to be midway into the yellow, like OBS. Any more than that, sometimes it does weird things. I did spend a little bit of time on my rack mount amp today, and that's what you're hearing. I played around with it and I played around with it, and like I said, what I hear through here is sometimes different. I always go back and listen to the stream, and I'm surprised at how different it sounds after YouTube compresses it and does its weird. I don't know. YouTube's got a funny compression, funny EQ, whatever they do on the back end. You almost have to alter your end to where what you guys hear is. It's kind of strange. I am starting to get it. To me, this sounds a little lifeless. It's almost like now it needs to come up a little bit. Let me crank it just a little bit. Maybe someone can explain it to me. I'm watching, right now I'm looking at OBS, and I'm watching the little meter go up and down. I am not seeing, well, I just did it there. Occasionally it'll dip into the red. But you've got this meter that floats, and then you've got two little bars that stay stationary. It's like a delay to tell you what your peak is. That stays right at -5 in the red. Even though 99.9% of the time the yellow is just barely creeping up to the red and not hitting the red. I don't know if you set it to that or if you set it to the two little lines that tell you what your peak are. Now it just dropped. Now it went up one. I'm not too sure. I think I need to go to a sound reinforcement university. We are playing through the Friedman tonight, but if you look, I've got a chair sitting right there, and I've got it set up with a microphone. Okay, and we're gonna do some tooling around tonight. Between there's actually 4 channels that's pretty easily gotten to, so we're gonna play around with the 4 channels. One's a Friedman BE-DLX, and the other side is a Sedano. So I want to kind of go through the Sedano and the Friedman. Something I noticed today is the Sedano will almost do what the Friedman does, okay? You do have to crank the gain up on it a little bit more, but unless you start getting into like these boosts and some of the weird cut features that the Friedman has, the Sedano is actually really similar to the Friedman if you leave everything at 50%. The Friedman has a couple little circuits. If you flip these switches, that's when it starts really getting into the higher gain stuff. Doesn't increase the gain? I think it does, but I think you lose a little bit of the color. It becomes overly saturated. So I have pittered around a little bit with it, try to give you guys an idea of basically what my preamp is doing. I guess it's been about 1.5 years ago since I did the unboxing of this. It got very few views. I don't know if it's just because it was rack mount. I don't even know if I labeled it as Friedman and Sedano. I think I just labeled it as Synergy. I've never had much luck doing pedal reviews or equipment type reviews. The reason I did this is there was a couple of people in the last stream said maybe I should kind of go over some of my rack mount stuff. So I figured we'd go over some settings, and I'd putter around with it. I do not have the inline, always backwards, I do not have the inline tube sweetener hooked up, so we won't be able to test that unit, but I can kind of show you what everything else does. And right now, I believe I'm on the highest gain setting on the Friedman. A little bit of delay in it, but I think it's doing pretty good. I'm going to open up the chat. So I see we got 23 people in here. So since we have 23 people, anyone new, please go down, hit the like button, consider subscribing. This channel, yes, we do live streams, but the main goal of this channel is reviews, product reviews, and working on guitars. I'm a guitar tech at night. I don't do it full-time for a living. I don't do YouTube full-time for a living. You don't have to be subscribed to get in here and chat. I think that's such BS. They're just wanting you to click the button so you can chat, and then they hope you'll forget about the channel and they gain a subscriber. If you look, most of our subscribers, this is a very active channel for the amount of subscribers we have. That's what we want. We want subscribers that are active and that have an opinion. It's not just my opinion. I'm one person. Everyone has an opinion or a secret sauce that they put on whatever guitar they're using or effects or floor stomps. They figured it out, and this is a good place to come and share that knowledge. There's all kinds of people uh, in the chat right now using all kinds of different amplifiers to modelers to plugins. That's what the poll is. Are you using plugins? I know guys now that are just plugging their guitar right into the computer. There's no amp, there's no modeler, it's all plug-in. It's just software on the computer, and they're plugging their guitar directly into the interface. Computer does it all. If you're doing something like that, answer the poll. I know a lot of people still use pedals. I think I've said it before. I was never a big pedal user. I think I was out of pedals by probably 88. I would say 88, 89 the latest. I'm going to probably say 88. I was already running rack equipment, a Digitech GSP5. I don't know if someone wants to Google that and see when that unit come out. But I had bought it 6 months after it come out. So that would give you an idea when I stopped using floor pedals. And I did it for noise. The floor pedals were just noisy. Can you get them quiet? Yeah. But with the fluorescent lights and the dirty power in the bars, the 1U GSP5 just seemed to do a little better. So I switched over. I see. Now, we're going to go into what I see going on. We got Devastator. We got Birdman. We got Cheryl. The real Queen Linnell. Timmy 70. Guitar Bob. Mini Guitar Society. Hey, we sent you a link in Discord. I'm pretty sure that Mini Guitar Society has purchased pretty much every mini guitar that's ever been made. Now he has a $1,700 one that he's going to need to buy. Keys will just come out with the Jason Becker number. I want to say that guitar is $1,700 for the Mini. Mini Guitar Society, that thing is awesome. I don't know if I could do $1,700 for it, but I know that you have every mini guitar ever made, and you've got the ultimate collection. That one might be the holy grail mini guitar for you. I think I heard they're only making 100 or 150 of those things. I don't know. You might want to throw the dart and say, okay, I'm going to let somebody else purchase the guitar and maybe I can get it cheaper on the back end. Hold on, we got to turn Linnell on. My board is not good. Okay, hon, say that again.
Minnie said, I saw it and I love it, but I also like my car.
Yeah, it's pricey, but it's a Kiesel, and it's got those numbers on it. That thing is just so freaking cool. We posted it for you. As soon as we saw it, we thought about you. So, yeah, that one will be a must-have for anyone that has a mini guitar collection like that. That's a must-have. I see Timothy 70. This channel would rock if Avery knew how to play. I'm working on it, man. My problem is lack of practice time. I try to put a lot of feeling in my play. I'm not the fastest player. I'm not the most technical player. I'm not the most anything player. but I try to put my emotion into what I'm playing, and I try to dig in. I really do try to make the guitar sing. I'm trying to get out what I hear in my head through my fingers and my playing. Um, I'm much better than I was 4 years ago. So I got to keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing. So if you look at the title of the video, it's about old equipment. Um, and the reason I bring this up, you know, there's a lot of companies making a lot of different stuff now, and I get it. I mean, I've got some older equipment. Do I have what is considered vintage? I guess it depends on how old you are. Me, when I think vintage, I think 60s. 60s, early 70s. To me, that's vintage equipment. When someone says, "Oh, you got a vintage amplifier," I'm thinking about an old Marshall or a Fender Twin Reverb or an old Fox. That's kind of what comes to my mind. If someone says, "Oh, you got a vintage guitar," I think Fender Strat, Fender Telecaster, an old Gibson SG, a Les Paul. That to me is vintage. And when I stop and think about it, people go, "Well, I've got a vintage Kramer." I was playing guitar when my '86 Kramer Pacer Imperial was made. You know, I was buying guitars. So when I look at that, is it vintage? Yeah, that's a vintage instrument. But I still see it as something, wow, I remember when that was released, and I remember I could not afford a Kramer. I couldn't afford it. I wanted a Kramer. I wanted a Kramer, original Kramer Beretta so bad, I just couldn't afford it. I wanted a 27 fret Zion. Uh, couldn't afford it. I wanted a Robin. If you don't know what a Robin guitar is, I think Robin, last time I heard, they were trying to make a comeback. I don't know if they will or not. Robin was one of those companies, if you knew it, you knew them. You knew they were awesome. But I would probably say that was an obscure 10 or 15% of people knew who Robin guitars were. Exact same with Zion. Zion made some really high-end stuff. But the companies you heard about were Charvel, Jackson, Kramer. They were the ones killing it when I was out playing. I chose Peavey. One, price point. I went into Shenandoah Music, and this was years ago. And the original owner, Roger, was like, "You keep complaining about that Gibson Explorer, you know, killing you on stage. Why don't you get a lighter guitar?" And I'm like, "I like my Gibson Explorer. It's bad, but I didn't say but. I said it's bad, ASS." And he goes, "Why don't you play that Peavey over there?" And I'm like, "Peavey? I got a Gibson, man. If I'm going to buy another guitar, I might buy that new Fender that they're getting ready to come out with that just says Strat on it." I said, "One of my favorite guitar players is playing that, Greg Howe." I said, I might consider something like that." And Fender was promoting it; it hadn't come out yet. And I picked up that Peavey, and I'm like, "Wow, this is a great guitar." And I went back the next week, and I ended up purchasing the Peavey Nitro Active. And that's when I went down the Peavey road. And exact same thing with effects. That's why I brought it up. Can the old vintage stuff, can it compete? I'm not going to jerk anyone's chain. I see the advantage, what the poll's about, plugins. What's the advantage? A plug-in, it's so much cheaper, and it's so much more user-friendly. I made this comment before. We're getting ready to change boards. I'm going to get a wing rack. So a wing rack, let's just say you're using 32 channels. You have to have mic strips or channel strips for every channel
Birdman
on
said
my original board.
Birdman says, Avery, please check Discord general for a pic I posted, and then he put trying to figure it out.
For a pic you posted. Okay. Um, we'll get after break. We'll go to the Discord. If anyone's got any questions, they can put in Discord, and we'll check out pics. I mean, I get it. I do get the plug-in thing. With the wing rack, I can get a plug-in, and that plug-in will give me a different line channel strip for every channel. I only need one plug-in. The board that I have now, I literally have to have every microphone needs its own channel strip. Every microphone, unless you do through like a subgroup and then you return it back through. The disadvantage to that is every microphone may need a different gate or a different de-esser depending on the person that's using it. So I do get the new stuff. It doesn't cost, people go, oh, it costs so much money. In reality, it doesn't. I remember walking into the studio and they just have racks and racks and racks of EQs and channel strips, and it was crazy. You don't see that anymore because everything can multitask through the computer system. So it's not about that. What it's about is if I have a rig like this and someone just says, it's outdated, you should just, get something new. It's so much better than the old stuff. I don't know if that's true. I hear a lot of people saying, well, they're trying to get the brown sound. Well, Eddie got that sound with X equipment. Maybe that sound is just natural to the equipment that he was using. The limitations of the stuff that he was using, cranking up the voltage and red plating the tubes and doing everything that he was doing to that amp that it wasn't designed to do, gave him that sound. Exact same principle. Some of these things you've heard me say, they have some issues, but some of those issues is what gives it that sound. Okay? So when you're trying to replicate it, the newer stuff, yeah, they've fixed a lot of things. But maybe that one thing they fixed is something that made one of these sounds from, Zakk Wylde or, George Lynch, whatever that sound is that you're hearing, that you're chasing. Maybe it wasn't something intentional. Maybe it was them using something that just gave them something unique. And then on the backside, the delays and stuff made it. Does that kind of make sense? Just like when I play this. I know there's a lot of dirt in it. I'm on the really heavy dirt channel. But as far as effects, modern day effects really don't sound that much better. And when they do get better, they're a little crisper and a little cleaner. You kind of lose that floor, that noise floor, that kind of hides some of your mistakes. And I know that sounds awful, but believe me, guys, there's a lot of musicians out there. If you stripped the stuff off behind them, you might be surprised at how well they pick or not so well that they pick. Everyone kind of gets dependent on effects or compression or this or that. And it allows us to do things that we probably wouldn't do just through like this egnator here with the distortion turned up. If that makes sense. And I'm guilty of it. And I'm probably pretty sure everyone in the chat is guilty of that in some degree. In some degree, we're guilty of it. So it comes down to, if you buy this super clean reverb, how much better is your signal going to be? What I found is everyone goes, well, you sound very similar to the way you did last week. Yeah. In my little squirrel brain, I hear a certain sound. So I'm running a Friedman. How many Friedmans do you know that sound like that? Well, it's because I set the EQ, I set the gain, and I've modified my effects to give me the sound that I hear. Now, if I give this rack, this Friedman rack, to somebody else, they might set it up completely different and they'll get maybe a grunge sound or a heavier sound out of it. So I think we do this a lot. We'll go out and say, man, I really like that sound. And we'll go out and we'll buy a Vox amp, or we'll buy a Marshall amp, or we'll buy a Hughes and Kettner because we want that sound. And the first thing we do is we go over and we EQ it and we change it to fit what we like. Now we no longer have that sound that we bought that unit for because it had this sound or that sound. We immediately go to what we're comfortable with or what we feel sounds good. Does that kind of make sense? So what I've done is I have put a couple different sounds in this thing, and we're going to go over and we're going to listen to it, and we're going to see how many different sounds can you get out of it. Now, I do not have a B-man. I don't have something that's designed to do something really clean. I have a Sedano and a Friedman. So that's what we're getting ready to do. We're going to go over and putter with this thing and see what kind of different sounds we're going to get. I do have another microphone over there, so please excuse me if the volume isn't quite right. I will have to probably take these off, so I will not be able to hear what's going on. But it's a train wreck, but you guys like that. This is a small channel with honest content. All right, we're going to go over and check it out. Okay, from across the room, I'm going to try to keep the microphone at a decent level. It is right here, but the camera's over here. And I cannot hear a thing I'm playing because we're using an IR, so I'm definitely going to need my headphones. I'm probably going to pull that unit off the desk over there. So that is our BEDLX. That is this channel right here. Now we're going to switch up to our upper channel. It's actually, it's showing the gains even higher on this channel. Oh, we were on our neck position during all that. So let's actually go back through. So here's our bridge position. So the Friedman is set on the gain. It's at about 1 o'clock. Our bass is set at about 1:30. Mids are set at 11:30. Treble is set at about 12 o'clock. And our output volume is at 12 o'clock. Our sag is at 11:30, and our main volume is at about 11:30. Input gain in the ART is at 0 because we're bypassing its first channel. We do have amp voicing at 50%, our balance is at 50%, and our overall output's at about 11 o'clock. We are running some effects. So to get an idea, I'm going to cut. We have what's called analog and digital. We're going to take all the digital mix out. So that is 100% analog. There is no digital signal processing. So let's turn up our digital wet dry mix. Now this is digital effects.
Everyone says you sound like you're talking in a can.
Yeah. One, remember what we just said about having channel strips? The channel strip is on the other microphone. So when someone says you do not need a channel strip, you just don't realize how a channel strip favors the microphone when you get it set up right. This microphone has no channel strip. There's no de-esser. There's no enhancement whatsoever. It's just a gate and the microphone right into the interface. So that is literally the difference in a good high quality. We have a 286A and a 286S, both tied up. But this microphone here has nothing on it, so it's 100% dry. So that's really the difference that a channel strip can do. It can bring the mic forward in the room, if that makes sense. So I don't know if that helped. Since there's no gain, okay, where I can control the gain to the S, bringing it forward will help that. But it also, like P's and S and S's, it will sound more predominant with the microphone up close to you without a channel strip. So we did turn up the digital mix a little bit, so now let's really turn up the digital. And you can start to hear, it is only 16 bits. So when you crank up the digital processing like that, it starts getting an artificial sound to it. And that's what I hear a lot in like the Pod Express, the Line 6 stomp, or my HD stomp that I have over here. I hear that artificial digital sound a lot in those type units. So what I like to do is I only put about a third in that, and I like keeping it more analog. About right there. Now we have amp voicing, and this has been modified from its original purpose. I have two 12AX7s in here. So what this is doing, it's going to emulate like changing the bias on those tubes. It's just emulating it. So if I turn this back, it doesn't do that much, but you can hear there's a difference in how it crunches and how warm it sounds. So I try to blend that at about 50%. This right here is our BBE. So if we change our low contour, it really affects the signal. Right now we are set at the first dot past 12 o'clock. So we're going to turn that way back. We're going to go to about 11 o'clock. Now, to really accentuate it, I'm going to cut it back to about 3 o'clock. Now we're going to turn it up. You can hear it gets kind of boomy sounding. So it's just a low contour. I have found between 50%, anywhere between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock is usually its sweet spot. So we're going to go back up to 1 o'clock. Now this is our process. Now some of them, they'll change the printing. Most of them say high contour here. This one says process. It's pretty much a high contour, so if we crank this up. Now we're going to turn it way back. You can hear how it drastically changes. Everything affects everything. So if you go in and you start messing with your presence controls, it will directly impact how the high contour reacts to the guitar. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that if you buy one of these, that these are going to be the best settings. It's really going to be dependent on how your main EQ is set. Okay, because think of it as a sweep, like on some older boards where it's going to pick a particular frequency and it's going to boost it, and it's going to process that particular frequency. Kind of think of it that way, that this is a low and a high, okay, contour. That's probably the easiest way of looking at it. Now let's switch over. We're going to go to our little bit higher gain channel on the Friedman. Now you have a couple different settings here. You have what's called BE or H. Can't even see it. It's HBE or NBE. If we switch that and we switch it down, that's in the up position. That's down position. So right now I have it in the up position. This right here is BAT. So switch that down. You can instantly hear it gets a little thinner. And the EQ on the Friedman is a lot more, it does a lot more than what I'm used to on an EQ. Right now on the top channel, we're at 1 o'clock, and about 12:30. So if we set them all at, let's say, 12 o'clock. So this is all 12 o'clock. And the gain is cranked. So let's do 75% of gain. Now let's roll it back to 50% in gain. Now you can definitely hear there's a big gain difference. If we come back up here to this NBE or BE, this is two different amp models. If we switch that to NBE, now let's push them both down. Now you can see where we got to crank up our output, our rear back output, because that's killing our output. Boy, I knocked this thing out of tune. Sorry guys, very rarely do I have to tune this guitar. So that's at 50%. I actually like that more so than where it was at. Sometimes you can just overly saturate something. Now that we've got something that we feel is a little better, let's go over to our Sedano side. So I'm going to switch channels. I do not have my floorboard out here. If I had my X15, I could just push a button and it would actually change our preset MIDI channel and our Synergy rack. So this is our first channel in the Sedano. Now this is the older Sedano module. The newer Sedano module has a low, mid, and high for both channels. This one shares the same EQ, which is, in my opinion, was a major miss when this one was made. The only thing you can change is the output and the gain structure on each channel. The EQ has to stay the same because it shares it. But the new one actually does have a low, mid, and high for each channel. So don't be scared of it. The new one's much better than this one. This was one of the first ones that was made. So that's our Sedano, and that's almost at 70%. Let's turn it back a little bit. Let's keep turning it back. Here's 50% on the Sedano. Let's cut it back even more. Let's go about, let's say 10 o'clock. I like that. And again, remember what I'm saying, sometimes we use things as a crutch. I know that sounds better, but I'm not going to play with it too much because I have to play much cleaner and much more accurately with this setting because there's not as much dirt and crud in the signal path to hide my mistakes. But it's more articulate and you can hear the definition of the strings better. Got a good sound. If we turn it back even more, let's go like 25%. Now we're going to need to bring our output up. That's too much. Now you can get into the more lower gain stuff. You can hear there's not a lot of gain, but the reason the Sedano and the Friedman are so awesome, they've taken that Marshall sound. I think I said it in the last stream. There were good Marshalls. That's the reason why people were hunting for the good one. But the drawback was most of those Marshalls had to be modified. That's where Sedano and Friedman came in. They modified those amps and made them powerful amplifiers. So when you listen to this sound, you can hear the back. It doesn't decay and fall off like a JCM 900 or a JCM 800. Can you hear that? It stays mean sounding. Even though I don't have the gain cranking, you can still hear that push. That's the difference in the Sedano and if you've got a JCM 800. It just, the JCM 800 and the 900 just kind of fall flat after the note rings out a little bit. And like I said, I'm not using a lot of gain there, so that's at about 25%. Now we're going to go up to our second channel in the Sedano. got to bring our volume up. And these are things that you can get dialed in. These secondary backside volumes allow you to get your mix right. So when you're switching between channels, there's no, unless you want it to have a gain increase, you want it all to be the same. Now, if I was switching over to a lead, my expression pedal on the X15, I would have that controlling my main output, this knob right here, and I would actually have it set up to where when it was all the way up, let's say I'd be at 85%. And when I push that expression pedal all the way down, it may boost me up to like 90% or 95%. Just something to give me a little bit of a boost in volume during lead work. And that's it. Then my other expression pedal was normally set up to change my input gain. Now, since we're no longer using the input gain the way this one's set up, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm not sure on the Synergy if through MIDI I can through MIDI change the gain setting or not. That's something I would have to look into. With the ART you can, but we're not using that first preamp stage. We're using the preamp stage in the Friedman and the Sedano. And that's the 80 sound right there. That's it. All right, let's go in. Now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of things. You'll see the red light right here. That's edit mode. We have value and we have parameter. This is our main screen. This is what we were talking about last week. I don't need a computer to get in and fine tune this. Well, you're right, I don't. If I did, this would probably be obsolete right now. I can manually do all my parameter settings with this little 2-bar display unit. The computer stuff it's far easier. It's more interactive, it's more everything. My main scare on that stuff is when these programs move on. In 20 years, are you still going to have a computer that you can plug that thing into and do the editing? Who's going to support it? Because I guarantee you, just like ART, if I call Applied Research Technology right now and I ask for a part on this, they're going to go tell me to pound sand because they made this thing 30 years ago. So when you call with your Helix Stadium in 15 years, are they going to tell you to pound sand if you need something for it that was proprietary inside of it? I can guarantee you they will. So if it survives, like this unit and this unit has, no failures, now I need to still program it. In your Helix Stadium and some of these other, like the Quad Cortex, you can't really get into all the parameters, especially the Quad Cortex from the face. So you're dependent on that computer program to make changes. I want to go that way. But my main worry in that type of equipment is the interface. Windows. That's what I'm worried about. And someone made a comment in the last stream that you can get a secondary program that'll run the other program in the background. Maybe you can. But let's say just like this manual or the Sedano, let's say something happens and you lose that interface, that downloaded code that allows you, are you going to be able to go to that company and download that software for that piece of equipment? Because most of this stuff does not come with a disk. You get online and you download it. So my suggestion is, if it's proprietary software like that, keep a copy of it somewhere. That's what scares me about it. But on this one, we do have a little tiny screen, and it's a pain in the butt because everything's abbreviated. So now we're on parameter. Right now, if I switch this all over, we've got chorus, we've got speed, decay, level, mix, mod, and speed all in the chorus. So let's go back to our beginning. there's a lot of stuff in this. So right here is our compressor, and the drive's at 93%. The slope is 2 to 1. Our attack is 2 milliseconds. Our release is 300 milliseconds. And our output's at 88%. Our expander is set at 75%. The ratio is set to 1 to 3. We do have an equalizer, and it is pretty much completely flat, except 40 hertz is set at 0 dB, 10 hertz is set at 2 dB, 250 hertz is set at 2 dB, 640 hertz is set at negative 6 dB, 1.6 kilohertz is set at 0 dB, 40 kilohertz is set at positive 2 dB, and 10 kilohertz is set at 0 dB. So that's how our EQ is set. Our delay, our master level, is set at 98%. The decay is at 380 milliseconds. Our define tune, we're not using any detuner. So you can actually set it up to where one of the modulation, one of the repeats, is detuned. I never used that, but I guess it's cool. Region is set at 37%, level at 37%. And reverb, we're using a plate. I like a plate reverb. It is in the pre-section, so it is pre the preamplifier in this particular scenario. It is a digital version. Decay is set at 2.4 seconds. Headroom or head dampening is at 14%. The position's at 50%, so it'll either be rear or front. So I have it set dead center, so it doesn't feel like it's behind you or in front of you. And the level's at 50%. And of course, we already went over the chorus. And that's it. That's what's in the art as far as effects. And remember, guys, as we change this, let's do something here. Let's turn up the treble. We're going to really turn up the treble. So let's turn back our high contour. Let's turn it back a little bit more. You can hear that's really similar as far as the tone, the brightness, but you hear the characteristics have changed. That's why I'm saying this could sound like total horse crap to me tomorrow. The longer you play with something, the worse your ears will become at the changes you make. And what I like doing is I'll find something that I think is working. And there's a lot here. There's a lot going on here, guys. Even though I'm not using a lot of anything, it's using 3 preamplifiers all staged in together. Because we are still using the solid state preamplifier in this unit. We're just bypassing the 212AX7s. And then we're using the Sedano plus the processing here and then all the effects that we just went over. So there's actually a lot going on. You can get tainted as you're listening to it and you think, oh wow, I've got the perfect sound. And you come back the next day and you're like, wow, what was I smoking? Because you're hearing it with fresh ears. You're no longer, you could have a really bad sound with too much bass and you start working it, and you finally think you got it. You come back the next day and now it sounds tinny because you were trying to get rid of the bass and now you've taken out too much. Don't get frustrated. Just keep playing with it. If you've watched the channel, we got this thing running, I don't know, probably 4 months ago. with the DI box, with the cab sims, and I struggled with it. The first time we went live with it, it really sounded funny. I'm used to running through the two 6L6 power amp tube. It has four 6L6s into my four-speaker cabinet, into my microphones. I wanted to be able to talk to you on the microphone and be able to play. And I couldn't do that when I had the four-speaker cabinet going. There was just so much amp sound coming into this microphone, it was dominating it. Now I can talk and play. I hear them laughing. But that's the rig that I've been using. This rig, other than this unit here, played out in many places. Old equipment guys can do good things. Get on Reverb, get on eBay, and start looking for some of this stuff. I guarantee you, these little BBE units, I don't care what kind of rig you're running, get one. It is the I make everything sound better box. They made them in floor stomps. If you're a floor stomp guy, they made them in a rack mount unit. They really do. Listen to this. We're going to bypass it. Engaged. The big thing is the harmonics. And if you feel that you're overly saturated on the processing, it just makes the notes pop out a little bit. So everything builds on everything. We're not using a ton of anything.
It's intermission time. Your Coco's waiting on you.
Uh-oh. Coco, it's break time, guys. That's what she's trying to say. Hopefully that satisfies, the people that were interested in this particular rack. We didn't go over this guy. This is my Line 6 relay, and this one has been updated to run the spread spectrum technology, so it hops frequencies. Okay, so you'll never have problems with this thing, picking up a trucker going down the interstate or the local radio station. It is sped spectrum. It'll emulate your cable length from like 3, 6, 10, 12, 20-foot cable. Yes, your cable does make your guitar sound different. If you're struggling, try different length cables. It actually does change your tone. This emulates that. Great unit. I know they're expensive, but I've never played anywhere, even with the original firmware, that the G90 relay ever let me down. It's a great solid unit. It does have the backpack that hooks to your strap. Plug it in. It'll do at least 2 shows on a set of batteries, so it does pretty good. You're not going to get more than 5.5, 6 hours out of a set of batteries. Now they may have updated and put a lithium pack in it. Mine's still running standard batteries. So I haven't looked into it for a while. They might make a Lifey 4-pack or a lithium pack for that. If they do, that would really bring the unit up to today's standards. They still make it. They're still making updates for it, because I just literally updated this about 1.5 years ago through Sweetwater. And it's still the best wireless money can buy for your guitar. And I know what you're saying. Well, I got a little plug-in I paid $50 for. Um, they probably work okay. This is a completely different animal, if that makes sense, versus $100 or $200 or $300 wireless system. Look into it. If you're playing, out and you're having issues, look into a Relay G90. It's well worth the money. All right, guys. Again, hit the like button. Consider subscribing. If you're familiar with the channel, when we come back, we're going to go to Discord. We're going to go over questions and answers and look at some, Discord pictures for people that have posted stuff. And we always take a 5-minute break. That allows you to hit the restroom, get some vittles, get something to drink, do all that neat stuff. And when we come back, we're going to go over your all's comments, your pictures, projects, anything that was on Discord that was posted for the live stream. All right, guys, it's 5-minute break time. Okay, let's go over a couple things. During my break over Christmas holidays, now I am I am a traditionalist as far as everyone knows here that I am an Adventist. And I say that I'm an Adventist because they are closest to my beliefs. Um, but the Adventists, they kind of celebrate Christmas now. I don't really celebrate Christmas. You'll notice there's no Christmas tree. I made a post in Discord, and they were talking about it. It was a post. It showed a big Christmas tree and a little tiny. This is all I can afford this year. And I typed in, I'm like, we think that's bad. We don't even have a Christmas tree. It's not that. We just don't celebrate Christmas. We celebrate Yeshua's birthday in September. That's when I feel he was born. So that's why our living room, you're not going to see Easter and Christmas here.
With the exception of we do buy the little one stuff to open on Christmas.
Yeah, we do. That's more on Linnell because I just, Christmas for me just isn't, it's more commercialized and it has nothing to do with our Savior, if that makes sense. It's not a sermon, just a thought. You guys do your own research, do your own reading, and whatever you come up with, I am perfectly fine with it. I have some really good friends that are Catholic. And if you're familiar with the Adventist Church, you'll go, well, how in the heck does that work? I don't view things that way. And I view that just like I do music. When I'm talking about this amp and modelers, I get it. I get why people do it. I use them. I think they're great. I'm getting ready to start using plugins, and I hope that my little squirrel brain can get around the new wing rack. I know that it is so far superior over my Mackie. And that's not putting anything against my Mackie. I have a VLZ Pro 16 that's 30 years old. It just needs a cleaning. There's none of the switches or anything are broken. They're just dirty. It just needs a good cleaning. It has never been cleaned. It has never been serviced. So if someone else can tell me a board that is 30 years old, that's never had a service, never had a cleaning, that still works as good as my old Mackie, that's saying something.
We have a Roger, first time in the chat.
Oh, Roger, if you did subscribe so you could chat, thank you, but you didn't have to. I want subscribers. You know, we're trying to get, we're only like 10 away. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, we're trying to get to 2,400. We're like 8 or 9 away. I would really love by the end of the stream that we hit 2,400. I want you to come in and hang out and talk to the people. There's so many different styles of musicians that come in and hang out. And we try to cover a little bit of everything. I'm more of a hair band player. That's kind of my style. I'm going to say late earlys, 90s. That's the genre that I played out the most.
Mikey wants to know if you had Christmas as a kid.
I did, and that was a thing. This channel's about life. Okay, so as a kid, I remember the preacher at the Adventist church now that I'm a member of. I'm trying to remember something Hart. He came to our house, and my father was, I forget the denomination, but they went to church on Sunday, and he opened up the door. And normally he turned these people away that were coming, talking, and he made a couple comments. The preacher, Reverend, and Dad was like, and he come in, he talked to him, and Dad made the comment. He goes, well, I don't really believe you. And he goes, well, you like talking about the Bible? And Dad said, well, sure, I read the Bible all the time. So they did not agree on anything that night. But over the course of 2 years, this guy kept coming back every other week and sitting down and just talking. They would not pull it out of their butt. They sat down with Bibles and they hashed out what scripture and this or that. And then eventually Dad started going to the Adventist church. We never became Adventists. We didn't. But I remember sitting and listening to them, and I was always curious of it. So when I became an adult, 18, and I moved out, that was my turn to figure out what I believed in. And I went to the Adventist church. I didn't actually become an Adventist until about 4 or 5 years ago. I was baptized in the Adventist church. And there's things that I disagree with the church on. I don't think that you have to agree on everything. It's like guitars and amps. You don't have to agree on it. But you got to respect someone else's beliefs. That's why I personally don't have any issues with the Catholic or whatever. If they believe that and they've done their research, then that's them. It's not my place to do what has been done in the past, if that makes sense. Now, I'm supposed to witness to them and say I don't believe that, but that's it. If that makes sense. And it's the exact same thing here. I hear people say, oh, well, this sucks or that sucks. Well, remember what I just said. The ART, SGX 2000 Express, it has a problem. Okay? But over 30 years of tweaking with that preamplifier and the effects in it, I have learned how to work around it. And we went over some of the settings, and I'm sure some of you was like, wow, that's a really screwed up. Why do you have your headroom turned down to 14% and your region cranked up? I know if I do the opposite that I get this strange artifact in the reverb. And it just sounds like donkey poop. And all ARTs did it. I saw someone put in the comment, I don't know who did it, it said ART multiverb or miniverb. They did make a unit like that. That was a low cost unit. ART made a lot of like the FXR. You can get them cheap, guys. You can. If you're wanting something inexpensive just to add some ambient reverb, it's probably going to be okay. Is that going to sound like a Strymon or one of these new like a JHS $130 reverb pedal? Absolutely not. I can already tell you, don't waste your money on a multiverb by ART from 30 years ago. Just go out and buy the JHS, the little white pedal with 3 knobs. That's reverb. I forget what series 2 or series 3. It's a great little reverb pedal. Is it the best one? No. But for that kind of money, if you just want to add some reverb, it's a great pedal. If you want something better, maybe look into the Blue Sky or Big Sky by Strymon. Oh my gosh, it's so nice. So I have just learned how to make what I have work. I made a decision, just like in the last stream, someone said, well, do you have an ADA? I don't. I made the decision to go down this rabbit hole. And I remember when the Blue Monster Digitech come out with the 2101, the Artisan series. And it did so many things better than the ART. But the ART did some things a little better than the Digitech. But the Digitech was a better processor.
Mark
and a lot of
says-
people went from this to the Purple Monster.
Mark says he has an old Art MIDI verb. He said it's eh.
Right, the MIDI verb. It has the artifact, and they struggled with it. The Art did make some high-end units. If you look at an SGE, and the SGE, they made a Mach 1 and a Mach 2. Very solid units. The SGX units, very solid units. The SGX unit has a really funny sounding modulation. It just does. The Mach 1 and Mach 2 SGE units don't have the problem, but they're solid state on the preamp stage. There's no tube section. If they would have put the SGE modulation in the SGX, it would have been better. But somewhere down, whatever happened, they missed it. And it just wasn't quite right. But I've been able to learn to work around it, if that makes sense. There were better units. Like today, if you wanted to build a nice rack unit on a budget, I probably wouldn't do the SGX. I would probably find a 2101 or a 2112 with the updated prom chip, like a Blue Monster from Digitech, then add the BBE and go that route. It would still give you multiple effects with the tube preamp.
Mark also has the Alesis MIDI Verb.
The MIDI Verb was great. I have a MIDI Verb 4 and a MIDI Verb 3, but they weren't the best. The Quadraverb that you see right there and my Quadraverb GT are far better than the MIDI Verb. They did things a little better. The MIDI Verb 4 is much cleaner than the Quadraverb. The drawback is it's so clean it almost sounds artificial. It has no background, if that makes sense. It's kind of like in between the analog and the digital. It has body, but it's not sparkly like the new reverbs from Strymon, and it's not the analog or like a spring. It's kind of stuck in that limbo stage. And that's nothing against the MIDI Verb 4. I think it's a great unit. I've got it. It's literally right there. It's a great unit. I don't use it over here. I probably could. If I put the MIDI Verb 4 in it, I could bypass the reverb section of the art and get rid of the rest of that artifact. I just haven't done it. It's good enough because I don't, even if I played out, no one in that audience is going to pick up whether or not I'm using the MIDI Verb or the ART. Once I put the drums and the bass and the other guitar and vocals, and then you send it out and the main board adds their effects to it to make everyone sound like they're in the same room, it becomes moot anyway. Because when I was demoing this, remember when I turned the digital section back, that's the first thing I do. I turn that back almost to zero, and one of my out sends to the board is dry. I have to. It's a dry signal. I need to hear a little something when I'm on stage. But then when it goes to the main board, I expect the board guy to add a little bit of delay and compression or whatever he needs to make me sound like I'm in the same room as the bass player. But I need to hear something. So I come out of the secondary main outs to my cabinet and my power amp to where I hear something on stage. And I got to be down below because I don't want that to get mixed into the mains, if that makes sense, getting picked up by the microphones or the first couple rows back then hearing it, because it might be off a little bit. It gets really tricky. That was the era that I played, and it caused problems. Everyone's saying, well, that's going to screw up a lot of different stuff. Depending on where you played, yeah, you had some problems, but that was the issue. And if you didn't have a main board where you could run everything through, then you better get working with the bass player and the other guitar player to get your modulation effects to sound like they're in the same room. If not, it makes the band sound really funny, really quick. So I know we tried to have all this stuff in our signal path because it sounds good, but when you start playing with a bunch of different people, sometimes it can hurt you more than it helps you. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that. It's what I used for a long time, and until I update, it's fine for me. When I come home, I love playing into this, but I get good sounds out of this little Yamaha right here that I'm touching. And it's a $350 amplifier. And if you've got a board and you've got a power amp with some speakers, For $350, you can get this little guy, come out of the headphone jack, right to 2 channels of the board, and just run it through your PA speakers. You're going to get 85% of that sound and capability of switching between the Sedano, the clean channel, the Friedman. You can get close to that just doing the Yamaha. You can. Is it the same? It isn't. It feels a little different. But I really can't say anything bad about the little THR-10. It does so many things so well, and it's simple. I can get a decent sound out of this in 2 minutes. It might take me an hour playing around with that thing. Really. Remember what I said? Come back the next day? With the Yamaha, it's a lot simpler. Your odds are you're going to get a better sound on the fly with the Yamaha than you will this rack. And I hate to say it, but it's true. And there's no tubes involved in it. That's why it brings me back to when someone says this works well for them. I believe them, because if that's the unit they have, and they played with it, and they played with it, and they played with it, they have learned to make that piece of equipment work with their other stuff. And that's the key. Don't let someone say, it's a horrible piece and it sounds bad. Really, go talk to somebody else and see what they say. Now, if everyone starts telling you about the same thing, maybe it's true.
Mikey said even with a 1,000-watt PA.
I used to play my SGX 2000 into a GH500 Hafler. Played it on stage. So, yeah, even with a 1,000-watt PA, you got 1,000 watts. That doesn't mean that you have to use it. Yeah, it just means you have more headroom. If you got a 1,000-watt power amplifier and some real inefficient JBLs, because everybody knows JBLs, 80 dB, 86 dB, you better have a pretty big power amplifier to push those speakers. So that 1,000-watt power amplifier running through those JBLs isn't going to sound as loud as that 500-watt Hafler running through some really efficient EVs. So sometimes our wattage is it's a false way of looking at it.
Larry wants to know if you've ever played with a quad Cortex.
I have not, and I hear good things about the quad Cortex. My Sweetwater rep tells me I should get one of those or a new stadium. I am looking at updating to a better unit. I just like racks. The last thing I need is some other thing on the floor. I wish they made the quad Cortex in a 1U and put a mini thing on the back of it to go to a floor pedal. I would love that. I don't know why you got to have everything shoved in the floor pedal, because I want to set it up on my desk with all my other equipment. When I get my wing rack, that's in the rack. So I want to keep the stuff up and in the rack and off the floor and have something to control it all. And it's something a lot of these companies don't do. Now, Line 6 still makes the Helix in the rack mount, and I know the new Kemper is offered in a rack mount. The Quad Cortex is not. The new Stadium is not. Tonex is not. So I'm going to either go Fractal or Helix or something in that form, just because I want to get it up off the floor. And that doesn't mean that my opinion will change. I know the Quad Cortex is great. It's just it's a system that I'm not used to doing, if that makes sense. I don't want to have a foot thing on the floor. And again, I got to reach down and change. Well, you plug it into the computer and all the controls are on the computer. I don't know. I've been looking and looking, but I just haven't made a decision yet. I don't think anyone really has something that's making me go, wow, I think I want to try that. Other than the Helix. And the Helix is half the cost of a Fractal rack mount. If I knew for certain Line 6 and Yamaha were going to continue to support the rack mount unit, I would just buy one. Because I can get one for $1,200 right now. I'm sorry that Stadium XL and the Stadium Pro isn't going to be that much better than that rack mount. And I know they changed the architecture, they've changed this, they changed. It's not going to be that much better. I guarantee you, if someone that knew both platforms really well recorded a guitar signal and I played it back to you, you got a 50-50 chance of being able to tell which one's which. Once you hear it and it's recorded, it's a 50, and you got 2 units. So would you get it? You might get lucky and guess, but I guarantee you're not going to go, oh, that is definitely the new one. I hear how much better it sounds. So I might just reach out to my Sweetwater rep and say, okay, send me a wing rack and send me the new, or send me the rack mount Helix. I wouldn't have a problem with the rack mount Helix because so many people have posted in forums and there's so many things that I can download that someone else has already figured out. And that's 90% of the battle. Remember what we said about this unit having a problem? I have figured out the problem. So when people say, oh, it had a funny sounding reverb and delay, I sold it. A lot of people did, but I didn't. I figured it out. So if I buy the rack mount Helix, someone is already, it's already had years of this sucks or that sucks, we're going to make this improvement. They've already made improvements to it. The architecture. Fix this, fix that, fix the architecture. Whatever they've done. It's already been updated and they've heard the customer say, this isn't good, that isn't good, through updates. They've got it figured out. Plus, there's so many people out there that have modeled with it. I can download stuff. I think for me, it would be, well, I guarantee it would be all I'd ever need. Is a new the rack mount Helix.
Any thoughts on the new Fractal AM4? Even though it's a floor unit, it's about $700, so it's much more affordable than a lot of the other Fractal stuff.
I would love it. That one and the other one. They make a VP4 or something. Let me go and see here. I'm going to pull it up here real quick, guys. All right, here's our display screen. Here's our products. So, this is the unit that I want. And it's been out for a while. So, my concern is, again, is updates. Now, Fractal usually supports their products for a while, but this one's been out for a while. So, but that's the unit I really want. I know it would be everything I could possibly ever want and much, much more. This is a floor unit, the VP4. Now they used to make a different one. I don't know which one that is. So I have no issues at all with this. But again, it's in floor mount form. I thought about buying something like this and running it through my other effects unit for my Synergy unit and just getting rid of the ART completely and just having this as all my effects, then just having the SYN2 Friedman and Sedano and this. I could probably get rid of the BBE and just see what happens. Just the SYN2 and this right to the power amp. I could probably do that. Again, I'm still wanting something with cab models in it. That way I can plug my guitar in and go right to my interface for streaming. So I don't know enough about this unit. I'm pretty sure that there's not going to be any power amp emulation or cab emulation in this. It's just going to be effects. So, expression module cab packs. Yeah. So here's the 2 foot controllers. I actually like the old foot controller better than the two new ones. So I would actually actively search out the unit that this one replaced, or that this one, yeah, the older unit than this one. And these are great. There's nothing wrong with them. I just I like the older unit because it had expression pedals on it. Now they have this, and you have to get the expression pedals separate. Uh, I mean, that's fine. That's just something else I have to carry. I would prefer it all be in one unit. Fractal's good stuff. No matter what you say, it's solid stuff. And I'm sure this unit here or the FM3 would be all I'd ever need. If I want an all-in-one solution to sit here, plug my guitar in, and go right to my uh, my interface, this unit right here would probably be perfect for me. I could set it on top of the desk, and in reality, that's all I really need. I don't know what this one's going for now. Let's see. Let's go under shop. Let's see. So the FM3 is going for basically $1,000. So the XFX3 is $23.99, and the VP4 is $649. You know, at $649, I'm just looking at this now. Remember what we just said. You don't have any amp models. You have no cabinet simulation. Why wouldn't you just go ahead and get the FM3? I know it's $350 more, but it's so much more powerful. If they could have brought this out at 500 or 550, I think they I think they would have sold more of them. It's hard. At this price point, you're going to go, I should just get the FM3 because it's going to have more than just these four effects that you can use, plus all your amp models, plus all your cabinet models. It's a one-stop solution. But I get this. Someone like me that's got a Synergy or, let's say, a head, that you want to come out of the effects loop into this and get all your effects, I do get it. It would have been nice if they could have got this at least to the 550 price point. But it's fractal, so it's going to be expensive. At this point, here's another one. Okay, you got 3 buttons here plus this one. All right, so your FM3 does not have the power the FM9 has. So you're going to pay $1,450 for the expansion buttons in this unit. You can just spend another $150 and get twice the processing power with the same amount of buttons. Sometimes, I mean, I get the structure. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to upsell you. They want to price each unit to where it upsells you. I get it. I don't know. This is definitely the one I should buy. I just can't right now. My board, I got to spend $2,000 on my board, so I'm probably not going to go that route, if that makes sense. And I know this thing does everything under the sun. It really does. If I had this and put my Synergy rack above it, I could have all the amp models this thing does plus my true tube. And I could still go straight to my interface. I don't know. It's one of those things, guys. It comes down to dollars versus what I can use. I know I can use the wing rack here. Doing this stream and the stuff that I do now, the wing rack is the way to go. Because what I was just saying, when people said this microphone sounded funny, with the ring rack, I'll have the exact same channel strips on every mic. I don't have to buy any of them.
Don't forget to look at Discord.
Oh, yeah. So, I still think if we, let me go one more place, guys, before we go to Discord. Let me hit one more place. Where's it at? Okay. All right. Well, the price went back up. This was $12.99. So for $1,500, I can get this unit. Um, Now they're offering an hour sampler. It might have been something for Black Friday, but now it's back up to 1,500. Um, I would probably just go this route versus the Axe Effects. It would still be all I would ever need, and I could still put my Synergy unit on top of it and still get all my tube sounds, plus all the amp modeling and cab Rs. I mean, who could sneeze at that? I mean, we can sit here and pick at what's better, but that would be a heck of a system. I don't think anyone in the chat would say, no, I don't want that because it's a piece of junk. It just comes down to how much are you willing to spend. So I think this would probably be the way I would go, just due to dollar amount, if that makes sense. So let's go over to Discord. Let me switch screens here, and let me close some of those other windows so I don't make a mistake. Discord. So Birdman put where is it?
He put a photo in general.
A photo in general. Is he talking about the serial number, the PR?
Yeah, I think him and Steve were talking about it. I
mean, I'll switch camera views so they can see it.
I think he was trying to figure out. I know for sure he's trying to figure out the ohms, but I think Steve found out the information for him.
Now I've got it all messed up, guys. Hold on. I got to make sure that I have the right window open when I switch. So whatever this is, Birdman's posted it. It's an M1250881. It says Fender there, so I don't really know what they're going over. That's the only thing I can see that was posted on Discord. Remember, Birdman, when you post something on there, it has to be consolidated into one post. What the question is and some pictures. You can't really scroll back through the chat and chase it down to see what you guys are going over, if that makes
Mini
sense.
Guitar Society has to go.
All right, thank you so much, Mini Guitar Society, for coming in. And we expect you to get one of those new Kiesels. We want some pictures on the Discord server of the pre-order ticket from Kiesel on that. If you don't know what we're talking about, guys, Mini Guitar Society, that's his name. He goes by that because he does mini guitars. So it'll be cool. Kiesel just come out with a new MIDI guitar. So we're kind of waiting to see whether he gets one or not. And I cannot get the Discord window open again.
I think Steve answered Birdman's questions.
Okay. Well, I wanted to go to topics, see if there's anything new.
Oh.
We got a thing. It says topics for live stream. This was posted a while ago, and I didn't even pay attention to it. Why can't I seem to get this right? I guess are you guys seeing the? I think you are now. I'm gonna go with it because OBS is acting funny. So if I go to Discord, that's on my screen now. The Axe Guitar. I don't really know this guy's channel. I know that he's posted a couple things on Floyd Roses. I am going to throw a dart out and say that he definitely has something worked out with the company that makes this bridge. I've been paying attention to his channel, and he seems, I mean, I don't know for sure, but it seems almost very skewed on what he's doing as far as bridges. I think it's a great bridge. The only issue that I see, it's much shorter than the standard bridge. So if you're putting this in a guitar that's set up for a Floyd Rose, I can't play his video on the channel, but I just switched views. See that? It's designed to fit in a Floyd Rose route, but this looks horrible. The Floyd Rose is a lot longer. So before you guys go out and buy this bridge, I'm not saying that it's a bad bridge. Just keep in mind, it's going to look bad in that route of the Floyd Rose. If you want to buy this bridge and you think it's really that much better than a Floyd Rose, great. Buy a guitar that's not routed and route it specifically for this bridge. If not, you're going to have this huge hole behind the bridge. And the only other thing I could see where these would get a little fiddly, the way it's set up. Other than that, it's solid stainless steel. I think it would be a great bridge, if that makes sense. I just don't. I've went through and looked at a couple of his things, and it almost seems like he has worked something out with the company, and he pushes a couple products, if that makes sense. So I'm always a little leery of that, and I see that a lot on YouTube. It's YouTube, guys. That's the main reason why I don't do this full time. I do other things for a living, so you don't have to worry about me pushing a product to get kickbacks. Now, we did get our affiliate links up and running again. If you guys choose to get something through one of the affiliate links on some of the videos, great. It does help. And believe it or not, affiliate links don't really work the way you think. If you click on that link and you buy a can of beans, the channel gets 1% or 1.5% of the purchase price of those beans. That's how it works. So it doesn't matter what you get as long as you use the link. This channel is supported by Super Chats. That's kind of what it does. It allows us to buy guitars for the giveaways and stuff. We used to always do links. And I even would put links to the guitar that had a bad review. Because it's not necessarily what I feel. I just kind of point out what I find in the guitar. If you think the guitar is worth the asking price, it's your money. Whether it's a $2,000 Jackson or a $130 Grote. If you think what you saw in the video fits your need and the price is there, I would put a link down, and if you bought it, great. I think we did sell a couple guitars, and guitars I think is like 2.5% is what it pays. So you guys would have to buy 30 guitars a week to make any money at all at Amazon. So it's not, it's just little tiny things, if that makes sense. So we did get that up and running. And that's really the only way the channel makes money is that now that we just got fixed again in Super Chats. So that keeps the channel honest, if that makes sense. So I think that's all we got. I'm looking at suggestions. That's all we have on the Discord, guys. That's it. So now it's back open to open chat. What do we have open chat wise, hon?
Steve says he's looking at 2 PV amps right now. Both are great.
Which PV amps is he looking at?
I don't know.
Looking at 2 PV, which PV amps are you looking at, Steve? That's the question. And then Cycleman says, I like PV Bandits. If you can find a PV Bandit that has the little triangle on the bottom with the red, great amplifier. The little triangle stands for Audio Media Research. PV bought them out, and they've really upped their game in some of their electronic tracing and stuff they did in their amps. It really made a big change in their amplifiers.
Roger says he still has 2M Bandits and 2 Renown with 15 Black Widows.
Oh yeah, that was another good amplifier. The Renowns were bulletproof. They really were. They were just bulletproof amplifiers. I never owned one, but I played with a guy that had one. Great amplifier.
Steve said he, the ones in his den. He's talking about ones he already has. He's looking at them.
Oh, I played PV amplifier for about I played the Butcher for about 3 years, and then finally updated. And it had nothing to do with it not being a great amp. It just had to do with it didn't necessarily put out the sound that I was looking for. If you're in a southern rock band, the PV Butcher is probably the amplifier you're looking for. The head. You put a what is that blues driver by Marshall in front of it. Be done with it. That's probably the amp that you've been looking for, and no one told you about it. So check out a Butcher.
Steve says PV Combo 300 with a Black Widow. Use it as a bass amp.
Yeah, the Black Widow. Everyone poo-pooed on the Black Widow. The Black Widow was a good speaker. Lasted for many years. Devastator says, I got a PV setting in my room right now, too. As far as amps, I don't have any PVs. I got that PV cabinet, and then I got a PV cabinet right here, Penta. Now, I wish I still had the Butcher head, but I wish I had the Penta head to go with this cabinet.
Blue Mox says his first real amp, PV PAG 60 watt combo with a Scorpion. Still have it. Killer combo.
I don't know that one. I don't know that amplifier. And that's weird for me because I consider myself knowing PVs pretty well.
Steve also has a 95 PV Prowler 45 watt tube combo.
Now, Blue Moss just said Elm Triumph. Now, PV made a Triumph amplifier, the guy that played lead in our band. It was like one of the smaller heads, and it was a 2-channel. That was a kick-butt little head. It was smaller, but I'm pretty sure it was I think it was called a Triumph. That would have been early 90s, I want to say.
Time Surfing Alien has a Behringer bass amp his neighbor gave to him. Said he's never used it.
I didn't know Behringer made a bass amp.
CD Nelson says, first real amp, still have, but not using because of space. Lab Series L5 100 watt.
Another amplifier that I am not familiar with. Don't know that one. And Steve says Scorpions are great speakers. Yeah, the Scorpions were. The Scorpions were great. PV made good working band stuff. They really did. Can't beat on PV. And everyone talks about these new EVHs. You got to think PV's the one that really set that forward. You know, when Eddie Van Halen went to them, they took the Triple X and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure the Triple X was designed for Joe Satriani. They were getting a lot of artists long before EVH. You had Joe Satriani, you had Adrian Vandenberg, you had a couple that the other guitar player from Whitesnake was using PV as well. So there were bands playing PV. It's not like Eddie Van Halen put them on the map. There were already big artists playing PV. I have a Vandenberg in the room that I just love. I love my Vandenberg.
Vox says his favorite amp is his 1969 Trainer combo.
I don't think I've ever seen one of those.
I may have butchered that. I don't know.
Yeah, you probably.
Most likely.
I'm not familiar with that brand. See, guys, I lived in a cave in a corner. If it wasn't something that was popular or big in the area that I was in, just didn't know about it. That's what's so great about the chat. You hear about different amplifiers.
Blue Mox is a PV Triumph PAG, all tube 60 watt.
Yeah, 3-channel. So Blue Mox, you probably have the exact same amplifier that the guy I was in a band with for years that played lead on. His was just the head, and he never bought the PV cabinet. He built his own cabinet, and it was something weird. He was using a pile, and I don't know if it was a pile and a Celestian or a Black Widow and a pile. It was some weird speaker combination.
Blue Mox said it was basically the lead up to the 5150.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be a different amplifier. I know the Triple X was big. A lot of people don't think of the Triple X, and no one thinks about the Penta. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna see if I can find one. See if we can find one of these that I'm looking for. Oh, that's not going to come up there because I went to the wrong thing. Let's see if we can find one. Yeah, okay. Let me switch to my display screen. So this is the one cabinet that I have, and this is for both the head and the cabinet. So here's the actual picture of the head. So you got power, standby, and this is the dial. So these are completely different amp circuits that make the amp sound completely different. That's the EQ stage. And that's the cabinet that I have to my left. So if you run across one of these guys, definitely plug into it and play it. These were, and here's the speaker. It's a PV Celestion Penta. So even though it says PV went to Celestion and had Celestion build this driver for them. That's a close up. Great, great, great speaker if you can find them. Great speaker. It's a cross between like a creamback and a greenback, kind of all mixed together. And they work well whether it's an open back or a closed back. It's a very forgiving driver. So it looks like the cheapest one here with some damage on the front is $800 for that one. My cabinet's in really, really good shape. So what's sad is just a head. They want $1,400 just for the head. I'd be better off just buying something like this and having two cabinets in the head. But again, we're thinking about the future. Even though I'd like to have something like that, before I spent money on something like that, I want to continue down the path that I'm going. I already have a bunch of different ways of getting different sounds through real tubes, so I don't really need to pursue that anymore. I need to kind of fix other things, if that makes sense. Let me reopen the chat window. I got it all messed up. I'm really struggling with the OBS tonight, guys. I have an 81 just called a Bandit 50 and a 12-inch Jensen, I'm assuming. Yeah, it's probably a Jensen. Jensen makes good speakers. Fender used them in the Fender Twin Reverb for years, the Jensen. Pendergore says, very cool, Steve. You like it? So Steve is talking about his PA system here, 410 towers.
That's what when he played with his old band, when they played out, what they used.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when we first started playing out, you guys are going to laugh. We had two wedge monitors with 15-inch drivers, and they were 15-inch driver with a horn, and we had a Soundcraft. Now, before you say, oh, Soundcraft, we had a really beat up, well used and abused Soundcraft board that we paid $300 for. Some of the channels didn't work, but it was good enough. We had that and a CS800 PV power amplifier running into those two speakers. And that's what we used until we got to the point where we were able to start saving money and buying speakers and cabinets. That's what's sad. We used to make pretty decent money playing out, but we never actually made money because everything we made rolled right back into the band. And I look back on it and I get why we did it. We wanted to play bigger and better places, but we never really got to the point where we started making decent money because we were always buying a larger amplifier, an effects unit, or a snake, or a better board. We were always trying to get better and better so we could play better places. And back then, most places, medium sized places, they didn't have a sound system. Unless you got to a big venue, yes, they had their own sound systems. But playing a place that would seat 400 to 500 people, they usually didn't. You know, that's made it hard. And those were the venues that we thought worked best for our band, if that made sense. That we were looking for places that had 100 to 500 people. You know, over that, it was just too much of a nightmare. That's just us. Okay, trying to see. Used to. Oh my gosh, Polk. So hopefully you're talking about home audio.
Car speakers.
Oh, car speakers. Yeah, car speakers. I, the last car speakers I bought, I think, were Rockford Fallskate. I think was the last time. And if you watched the last stream, I know what you guys were. You bought Rockford Fallskate after what they did to Hafler. I did. Even though Rockford Fallskate buried Hafler amplification, they still make some pretty decent speakers for your cars. Okay, guys, unless somebody's got something new that they want to go over, we've been on for about 2 hours, and I guess I'm going to call it a night. We kind of went over the rack tonight. That's going to just about do it. I don't have anything really to cover other than that. Tonight was just a sit down and chat. That's what we do. We want to have people come in and talk products. Trucker Bob, Birdman, I was just looking on Google Maps Monday and won't be on 85 but be down I-95. Is too far to you to drive over there? Oh, they're going to get hooked up.
Possibly on Monday.
Uh-oh. You got to find a Walmart parking lot. That's where I met Trucker Bob. We'll set up a stage, get the extension cords run out, and have a band venue going on. That's what I would do. All right, guys. I want to thank everyone that came into the chat. We are going to go by Shenandoah Music sometime next week and see if our guitars come in for review. We do have a couple more here for review, so we are reviewing a guitar on Thursday night. And since it's Christmas coming up, anything new that you guys kind of want to go over or deals, put them in Discord, and we can go over deals. If you guys find some deals, I don't have any issues. Let's get it out on the live stream. So if you guys want to put up some deals that are coming up, I mean, it's the last week, so maybe Thursday we can kind of go over some last minute deals before the Christmas holidays. Whatever you guys find. I mean, put them in Discord, so if you're on Discord, at least they'll have a chance. And for those that aren't on the Discord, they can see it on Thursday night. But again, I can't do this without you guys. The stream, I can't do it without you all. You guys make the chat. You just like the Discord server. So again, please hit the thumbs up button. Consider subscribing. And I hope I see you guys Thursday night for our next guitar review. And again, thanks for coming by and hanging out on a Saturday night. We're going to do our 5-minute ending closing thing. That's what we do every week. Again, guys, thanks. I couldn't do it without you all. Oh, update on the Ibanez. Should have a video out this week on the Ibanez gem that's going to Brian's. And I should have that in the mail to Brian, I'm hoping before Christmas. The neck work is done. I just have to reassemble it and do a good fret job on it. And I have dry fitted the neck. I have fixed the pocket. So both the pocket and the neck is fixed. And the paint part's repaired. So it's just literally reassembling it which isn't much because I've already fixed the neck pocket and doing a setup. So I might be able to get that out next week to him. And Time Surfing Alien, you should be getting something. It shouldn't take more than 5 days. We'll get you a tracking number as soon as we get it. So again, thanks everyone. And next giveaway is going to be the Washburn. And again, thanks for Stefan for donating that guitar for January's giveaway. We actually need to go over that guitar too to find out what you guys want to do to it for the next giveaway. So maybe we should do that on Thursday night. Let's unpack Stefan's guitar this coming Thursday and see what parts we need to order. If you guys want to do anything to it, we might want to just give it a good setup and that's it. Let's at least look at it and see what you guys say. Whatever you guys want to do to it, that's what we'll do, and it'll be January's giveaway. All right, guys, thanks so much, and I'll see you all Thursday night.